My name is Griffith, everyone, and basically I'm going to talk to you about why I'm up here. I've waited 2.5 years to be back up here. The last time I was up here, I was running for new student representative. Me, Alyssa, Allison, where's she? Julie, Allison, and Leslie Ann Delphine were up here. We were all looking really, really awkward with our hands in our pockets.
Yeah,
they've got a picture up on Facebook. I found that picture. But I mean, I still remember what I said when I was running for new student rep, and that was that I saw everybody in this room, and there weren't that many people, but there was about this amount, and I said, what I see in these people is potential. And so basically, the way that played out for the rest of the year was I saw what UFC could accomplish as a big group. Barrio was really amazing, and I mean, Rosalie can attest to how I feel about Barrio freshman year. I mean, that wasn't all of it. There were other things like Canada. Well, I didn't go to Canada that year. Just being together with people, spontaneously even, that really meant a lot to me. What UFC could accomplish all together was something that I could really sense, and it really meant a lot to me, and I really drove that point that year. I tried to, at least, especially with our class, the freshman class, which is now the junior class, which is the biggest class right now. And one thing I really noticed that had a lot to do with that was how J.R. Rabago was leading the first meeting. When I walked into those doors 3 years ago, everyone, there was like 50 or 60 people here. It was full. Everybody was really loud. And when it came time to start, JR pulled up one of these chairs, stood on top of it, and was like, "Okay, everybody, shut up and sit down." And I was like, wow, everyone did it. It really amazed me how, coming from high school where everything is so disorganized and no one has any actual leadership. It's all older people, it's faculty. Here, students had that. Someone could come up in the center of the room, tell people to do something, and they would do it. And it's not just the fact that, it's not obeying orders. It's the fact that they had enough respect for him to listen and to kind of follow where he went. And then through the 3 years that I've been in UFC, what that big potential has kind of led me to realize is that it trickles down and it becomes a small potential. Small just by scope, meaning that everyone has individual potential within them. And what I want to do is cultivate that. I really want to see that come out in every person, and that's why I'm up here. I want to see what you guys can do. The reason why I'm up here is because basically I want to see you up here. I want to be president because I want to see you guys succeed. So that's what I'm here.
Hi everybody, I'm Alyssa again. I haven't moved. So I've been in this relationship since freshman year. No, I'm not talking about Isaac. I'm talking about UFC. I've actually, ever since I enrolled to SU, I knew some members of UFC before that are now alumni, and they pretty much brought me here. UFC is a relationship to me because it's had that ups and downs. So as a member, my freshman year, when I first met UFC, it was just really fun, and just imagine your first time coming to a UFC meeting, seeing all these people that are not even always just Filipino. Just the atmosphere of coming in to this room, well, this is where I had my first UFC meeting, was just inspiring. So, sophomore year, I was Barrio co-chair. That was a really big challenge for me because Sarah and I were in charge of the biggest event of the year for UFC. My freshman year, I was in 3 dances for Barrio, and that's what got me to love Barrio itself and UFC. And this year I was treasurer, and I got to know more like the logistics of UFC, technically working with people and money and basically just everything UFC. So my ups essentially outweigh the downs. The challenges that I personally had to go through just as an officer, it's just hard to time manage. But all in all, the experience as a whole, being a part of UFC, not only as an officer, but as a member itself and getting to know each and every one of you here, has brought me to where I am today. Excuse me. And it's just really shaped my college experience, my college life. And UFC is not only just a club to me, it's not just a community, it's a family, it's a familia, arcada. And so I'm here, standing here today to running for president for UFC because I want to be that leader for you guys. I want to see, like Daniel said, the potential that will bring you out as leaders to help you succeed, to help you promote that value of family, that value of just bringing yourself to your greatest potential. And so, you want to hear business with me?
It is ambitious for the president to want to do everything that he or she wants to do throughout the year. What are your 3 top priorities / goals that are realistic to achieve next year? Okay, Daniel.
I have one priority. One of my priorities is to bring everybody together, not necessarily physically. I want people to feel like they belong together. Sort of like how I felt. I want people to be able to see each other and see the family. That's one of my main priorities.
So top 3.
Top 3, up to 3.
No particular order. One of my priorities is to just unify our club, to bring back old members and potential members together, to, like I said, to promote that sense of family and to promote our Filipino culture to not only the SQ community but to the greater Seattle and bigger community. Another priority of mine is to help our UFC members grow as leaders. It's in our UFC mission statement to strive for leadership through the activities we go through, and yes.
Yeah, I'm not doing it. Okay. Yeah, sorry. Get everybody else on. So the second question is, as the president of UFC, how will you incorporate the mission and values of Seattle U into the activities and into the members for 2012-2013?
One of the core values of Seattle U that's really important to me, and it's become apparent just recently, is leadership. I believe that everybody has leadership, and I'm not just a leader by standing up here, being an officer. Not only officers can be leaders. I want to see leaders come from everywhere. I love how people like Matt are talking about making historian committee. Jen was talking about making activities committees. I really think that's an amazing idea because it really brings people in. It allows people space for ideas and for creativity and leadership.
Part of, as I said previously, the mission statement is us promoting our sense of family and our sense of leadership. I believe that as president, if elected, my goal is to bring out the best in every member through having them be engaged in activities and being involved in general meetings in Barrio and helping them just bring out their best potential.
Third question. Confrontation is a hard thing to deal with. There's a fine line between friends and being an officer. How will you deal with an officer that is not doing his or her job?
Can you repeat again? Sorry.
There's a fine line between friends and being an officer. How will you deal with an officer that is not doing his or her job?
So being an officer, you really have to understand your priorities. Personally, I find that health, school, and family and routine is most important. Next. Then school is the next thing, and then your responsibilities as an officer or any other extracurricular activities you have is last. So, answering the question. So as president, if there were an officer that was not doing his or her job, I would first see it from their point of view, how they're doing in their life outside of UFC, outside of officer life, and seeing how we can work around that together, and also letting them know that they're not an officer by themselves. We're an officer group for a reason, there's a president for a reason, and that's for us to support each other.
I'm really, really non-confrontational by nature. I can't do it. Like head to head. No. But when it comes down to it, well, okay, scratch that. What I would like to do proactively is establish relationships with the officers through check-ins, through just seeing each other and talking on a regular basis, just about, like she said, how their life, what's their life like, because if you get to that level with an officer, for example, you don't have to get to the confrontational point. I'll be straight up. If somebody's not doing their job and they can reach that potential, I'll call them out on it. Not in front of everyone, but like with them personally, and see what we can work on to try to compromise the two, their personal life or their school, and then their responsibilities as an officer.
All right. So being an effective leader involves diagnosing problems the group/club faces to address them successfully. What is the most pressing challenge our club faces, and what steps must be taken to address these challenges? Being an effective leader involves diagnosing problems the group/club faces and to address them successfully. What is the most pressing challenge our club faces, and what steps must be taken to address this challenge?
Personally, I think the biggest challenge that UFC faces is, maintaining its membership. Sorry, what was the question? How would we?
How are you going to address this?
Okay. What's the big problem? How do you address it?
So, to address this challenge, like say for example, Barrio, every year we have, after Barrio happens, we have Pro and Deltas meetings. So basically it's just where we talk about all the changes that we want to work on for the future to make it better, and as well as supporting the pros that we had for the night and the process of Barrio. So as president, I feel like in order to address that challenge of maintaining our membership or growing our membership would be something like that, having our officer group talk about what we do well as a club and what changes we feel like we have to make.
First off, I want to say that my vision of UFC is now definitely, like any other club here, it's generational, which means that next year there will be almost complete officer turnover. In 2 years, like, you might not see the same faces at all, let alone in 4 years when one group of freshmen graduates. Therefore, like, I think that the problems and challenges that UFC faces are going to be the same, only in a cycle. There's always going to be problems with membership. There's always going to be problems with officer dynamics. There's always going to be problems with keeping members happy. So, I mean, in one regard, I think it's, you can't solve a problem and have it done, but for a long time. But what I think I can do is see a need, and what I would definitely look forward to would be working with what we have. Addressing the problem in the moment, meaning, discussing it thoroughly once it arises and solving it. And in terms of, this is hard, in terms of the greatest challenge UFC faces, I would say that passing down successful leadership techniques to the next year, not just in the officers, but in other members. And,
you guys are almost there. Good job. So the bonus question. All right. So being a president is a full-time commitment. The spotlight is constantly on you. Everything you do reflects upon the club, and everything the club does, you get the brunt of the effects. How can you handle this pressure? And what skills, or to rephrase that, what skills do you have that help you handle this pressure?
So when I was a little 12 years old, I was in Boy Scouts. Anyway, the point is, I was in Boy Scouts. So what we do is we have, what is it called? 12, can someone help me out? 12.
It's not here, sorry.
Anyway, 12 points. There are 12 points. Trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. What that means is, what the points mean, as a whole, is you live them. You're just like being an officer up here, you're an officer everywhere. When you're a Boy Scout, you're not just a Boy Scout when you go camping or when you go to events or when you put on the uniform. You're always a Boy Scout. And, that's the same thing when I did martial arts training. I kind of, took that to heart as well. The 5, tenets that we had. I always, and this is something that I still take with me to this day to a certain extent. I mean, I've kind of drifted away, but I definitely see that I live out what I am involved in and what I see my passions as. That's how I would deal with pressure. Just upholding those.
Probably the biggest part of my life is my faith in God. So I guess that kind of relates to the pressure of being on the spotlight. I guess what I'm trying to say is it's kind of just like being yourself. You have to not watch out, but be aware of what your actions are doing, or sorry, I can't talk. Aware of your actions. Sorry, I guess what I'm saying with that is sorry, I totally lost my train of thought. So one way of I would be able to handle the pressure of being on the spotlight. I guess the first thing is humility, just being humble about everything that comes my way. I guess you could say I kind of take it that way in my own life. I guess sometimes people say it doesn't look like I'm stressed or anything. I kind of just smile everything off. So I guess that's the biggest way that I see how I would handle the pressure and the spotlight. Okay, I got my train back. So my youth group, BLD, and a big part of that, of course, being a leader of a youth group, you have to be that responsible and basically role model for the rest of the youth. And also within our youth group we have shepherds and lambs, and I'm Lisa's shepherd. I'm Lisa's lamb. So a big part of that is just being able to guide them through the hardships they have, and I'm out of time. But just got all over the place.
One more.